Okay, so I'll ask a very simple question again, is how do I know you're learning? Now that I'm recording. Yeah. What if you are half asleep? And you can still respond to questions, but then as soon as you ask a question, your brain goes, and you're quiet for a period of time, and then someone asks another question, you perk up for a minute, and then you fade out again. Are you learning? But is memory learning? Someone said finally, thank you. Yes, it's not. But, okay, so I'm going to change this to a color that we can see. Okay, so now, I have a very simple way to talk about psychology that gets rid of the brain. You never really get rid of the brain, but we don't need to talk about the brain. It's called the study of learning. It's called behaviorism. So, behaviorism studies the relationship between what you do and the world around you. Okay, so I'm going to write two words up here that is the basic elements of understanding behaviorism. Behaviorism rejects the notion of the mind. For the next 2 days, next 2 classes, today's what? Tuesday? Yeah, it's a long day. Anyway, Tuesday and Thursday this week, we are going to be behaviorists. You are not going to be psychologists, you're going to be behaviorists. And where's my behaviorist go? I saw her come in. There you are. Okay, see person? Serenity works as a behaviorist. She works with autistic kids. She works with autistic kids, helping them learn how to do things that most of us learn by just paying attention. Or not even paying attention, you just learn naturally. Children on the spectrum of autism don't pick up on social behaviors naturally. They just don't learn from other people. So how do you teach them? So every single person, everybody in here has a different program in how you learn things. Every single one of you has a different program on how you learn things. Okay? So in order for us to understand every single individual, well, that's behaviorism. Behaviorism sucks when you try to generalize it to the population. When we get to social psychology and cognitive psych, we generalize it to everybody. But behaviorism is very specific to each individual person. Okay? So please keep that in mind. So when we talk about this stuff, it's true 100% all the time. However, it's unique for every single person. It's not generalizable. That's really important to remember that. This is always true. It always works. It works so well that behaviorism actually comes down to a formula. So I'm going to write this formula up here. It's relatively simple. And then we're going to take it apart and look at the parts. Brace yourself. It's math. So I'm going to write a capital letter B. Guess what that stands for? Wow, behavior. Okay, so I'm going to write this little math symbol with an equals and a greater than sign. It actually is an arrow. So, it means followed by in math. So a behavior that's followed by, careful, parentheses, an S. What's an S stand for? Stimulus. Stimulus. A behavior that's followed by a stimulus. Now, I'm going to write a little letter down below. It's called a subscript. For those of my stats people, this is exciting. I'm going to write a lowercase r. Capital O, not lowercase. A small subscript, capital R. Okay? Then I'm going to make a negative sign, which means subtracting, or I like to take away. Okay. Another stimulus, which we know. And now I'm going to write a big capital P down here. And I'm going to run out of room, so I'm going to go like this. Okay. So what operation do you do first in this formula? Subtract. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. So now, some of my stats students are having trouble with that. SR minus SP. What does the little three dots mean? Did you? Kinda. In logic, it's therefore, or resulting in, or product of. Doesn't necessarily mean equals because it's not equals, it's a product of, or it's therefore. Okay? I'm going to write a Greek letter D. Ooh, I like it when the computer does that. If I make it close enough, it'll autocorrect it. Delta means change. Change. Delta means change. Okay, so if you're running late, you just say, hey, delta 5 minutes. Change, 5 minutes. Sounds cool. Okay. B stands for behavior. Now, a little lowercase r. A little lowercase r is a mathematical symbol called Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient. If you take stats, that's important. Otherwise, we use the little letter r for the word probability. So, what is probability? So likelihood is a nice word. The percentage that it's going to happen. If something is 50%, 50%, what do you say? Well, it's half and half. Flipping a coin, 50%. Probability is 50%. Okay, or we say the probability is 0.5. So if you want to bet on a quarter how often you're going to win, half of the time. Now my brother was a trained, well, he's pretty much bored and stoned in his room most of the time as a child. So I actually have a quarter. I found this at the gas station yesterday. Okay, and I'm touching it. Yeah. Okay, so my brother has the ability to flip a coin, and he can count the flips in the air and know how to make it land heads up every time. Good morning. Now, as a younger child, I did not understand that this probability. I thought that you would go, okay, heads or tails, you have to do whatever. Okay, and I'd lose every time. But as a kid, what do you expect? You expect it's even probability. And then I also found out later in life that Champion Daredevil was make little brother do stupid things. Who wants to play Champion Daredevil? Yeah, I want to be Champion Daredevil. But you can't jump your bike over the creek. Oh, yeah, I can. Champion Daredevil rules. Okay, go. Ah! And now my brothers and friends would be laughing. I was like 30 and I figured that out. Oh. So make sure you tell your children about Champion Daredevil. Okay. My favorite one was running across frozen pond. Yeah. Many times falling into the pond. No, ice is not safe yet. How do you know? Well, we had Steve across. Actually, having this little kid, that's the ice. Yeah. Then Weiner. Okay. Anyway. So, behavior probability is a likelihood. So let's step back to the formula again really quickly. B stands for behavior. S stands for stimulus. Little r is, haven't told you yet. The other S is another stimulus with a little p next to it. What does the D stand, delta stand for? Change in behavior. So what this is, a behavior followed by a stimulus. Behavior followed by a stimulus results in a change in behavioral probability. This is actually something called the law of effect. This is called the law of effect. This is always true. This is exactly what Trinity, right? Okay. Said it in my head, didn't sound right, but spring. This is what she does for a living right now. Eventually she'll run the joint after you get your degree. But what you do is you basically sit down and watch behavior. And as you watch behavior, what do you look for? Stimuli. This is your environment. Okay? When you pay attention to stimuli, some stimuli increase behavioral probability. Some stimuli do what? Decrease behavioral probability. So in the world, there's an infinite amount of stimuli. We try to write this out and literally identify every single stimuli. You think about getting up and coming here this morning. How many different stimuli are present? I feel guilty. Oh no, that's taking away a punishment. That's I'm taking away a negative. That's positive. But there's a million. We're going through different types of reinforcement and punishment that we'll talk about. We'll do that in the end of class today. We'll do it in the next class. But what we're going to focus on today is focus on what exactly is a stimulus. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. I'm going to try to go down the page, not sideways, so that people don't get annoyed with me when I keep just going sideways on this, and then you're looking at your paper going, I can't. Sorry. Okay, so people have commented many times, and I'm finally listening. Okay. So first of all, how do you define a behavior? What do you have to do to define a behavior? Before we can talk about stimulus, we have to know what a behavior is. But define it, though. How do you define an action? It has to be a movement of muscle. Literally, they used to say articulation of limb, but is smiling an articulation of a limb? No, but is that a behavior? Yeah, so it's a movement of muscle. Is a twitch a behavior? No. So it's a movement of behavior under conscious control. So if someone is twitching, that's a good behavior. What about your heart rate? You don't control that unless you're like super crazy monkey, then you are controlling your heart rate. Okay, so Tourette's is a burst of uncontrolled behavior. Tourette's is really fascinating. We'll actually show you a video next. Where does Tourette's go up? We'll talk about Tourette's later. There's a lady called Jess Kong, and she writes a cartoon called Tourette's Hero, and superhero who has Tourette's, because she has Tourette's. And she used to be, it's like, the way she describes it is it's like you have to sneeze. Yeah. Hey. But so what she can do is, if you're in a crowded elevator or your mouth's full of like spaghetti, you don't want to sneeze. So what do? How do you hold it in? The orbital prefrontal cortex tells the motor cortex to stop, the medulla to stop sending that signal. So it requires significant amount of concentration. We could do an experiment where we pull out someone's nose hairs and see how long it could take them to start sneezing. Highly fun experiment. Anyway, but if you pull out someone's nose hair, that generally will trigger you to sneeze, especially if you get one up in the mucous membranes up on the side there. Oh yeah. Anybody that ingrown hair in your nose? My wife tried to convince me to wax my nose at one point. There's a video on Instagram with a guy getting his nose hair waxed. Anyway, I'm like, fine, whatever, I don't care. I got like 6 ingrown hairs inside my nose after doing that. Never, ever again. Let the little octopi hang out. I don't care. Yeah, that's goofy. And then pull it out, and then one eye just goes tearing. It's actually pulling an individual one out significantly worse than pulling them all out at once, because the sensory stimuli. If you find one and just pull it slowly out, that will cause your nose itching already, but it's already causing a massive amount of sneezing. Sorry. Okay, so Tourette's is like that, but the behaviors can be very simple, like jerky. They can be vocalizations, like the lady Jeff Tom says, hedgehog, happy birthday, biscuit, which is cookie. And so she'll say stuff all the time. And it's just a little rotor program that just burps out. And it's not caused by, the change in behavior is caused by the disorder, not change caused by stimuli in the environment. In reality, you would consider it behavior. But in behaviorism, we call it a tic. Because it's not something that is under their conscious control. So we label it as a tic, so we know that it's not a conscious behavior. But one of my students last class was just talking about mirror neuron, because he kept going, he goes, I'm so susceptible to when somebody does something. A little girl in my son's class named Lexi pulled her hair out. You know, it's called trisomy disorder. Anyway, usually eyebrows or eyelashes, a lot of guys will do this. I pull up my beard constantly. You can tell if I've been grading a lot because this little space right here is a lot more clean and hair. So I sit and just do this. Okay? I keep threatening to shave my beard if I keep picking at it. But, good morning. So, what happens is, my son sitting next to Lexi, guess what he started doing? He's just twirling it. She was constantly messing with her hair, so he started constantly messing with her hair. Everybody at his table were constantly messing with each other's hair. Not each their own hair. Not Capuchin Monkey style. Okay. But it was funny because Lexi started wearing these giant bows in her hair. And everybody teased Lexi for her giant bows because they're really pretty bows, but why did she wear the bows in her hair? So she was conscious of the bow in her hair, so when she became conscious of it, what happened to that repetitive behavior? The bows were a reinforcement to stop the probability of pulling on her hair. And it worked really well. Hair pulling is usually a sign of anxiety disorder. And so when children have repetitive like eyelash pulling or eyebrow pulling, that's the nice thing about my beard, because usually I'll pick at my eyebrows. And I like this side was all gone for a while, because I'd sit as I'm reading and pull on this side. Dr. McGivern, if you ever take a class of endocrinology at San Diego State, this earlobe is about this much longer than his other one. Because he does this as he's thinking. And as a result, this earlobe is all like stretched out, like the hoop people. I don't see anybody hooping in here. Maybe they put the little plugs in there and stretch them all out. Anyway, we had a kid in my high school that did that. Anyway, in the 80s, take that. Okay, so now, so as we look at this, we have to define a behavior of a movement of muscles under conscious control. So if we're talking about a tic behavior, can you teach the person not to tic? They can gain conscious control over their tic. Yeah, but it requires a significant amount of effort. That's why Jess Tom created Tourette's Hero, and because Tourette's Hero is all about accepting people with Tourette's. So if you see a guy at the grocery store that's switching, don't just go, "What are you looking at?" Because that's how a lot of people react. But now that if you understand what Tourette's is, you see the person with Tourette's, you have to ignore the vocalizations and the outbursts. Stephen Gardenheim had Tourette's in my class. And he sat, F508, he sat on the side over here. And every time someone would say something, he would stop, he would suppress his tics. So what happens after you suppress them? They come out more. So as soon as someone would stop talking, he'd go, So anytime you'd say something, that asshole on the back would go, oh. Did he really mean to be making cranky noises? No, and as soon as he goes, well, I have Tourette's, somebody goes, oh, I thought you were a jerk. What happened to his tics after that? He didn't have them as much because he wasn't trying to suppress them as much. And the students knew that when he was doing it, he wasn't being rude, he has Tourette's, and everybody kind of went, okay. Really kind of cool. But, so it's interesting about that when you try to study behaviorism, it's very hard not to go into the cognitive world. It's very hard not to go into memory and what you think. And that's why we start talking about, when we start talking about behaviors, movement of muscles under conscious control. So if you are, like if you do have something that's an unconscious behavior like hair pulling, what do we look to try and change? We're trying to stop the behavior because that is putting the behavior under conscious control. Okay, So let's look at what stimuli are. I love this. This is great. Okay. What's a stimulus? Stimuli are always present all the time, everywhere. I'm going to write this. That's not sensation, that's sensation. It looks like a bee. Stimuluses are sensation. If you remember a little bit from a long time ago, the first experiments in psychology were in psychophysics, in understanding what is the stimuli that humans can perceive. It's really boring stuff, but kind of fascinating at the same time. So it's sensation. How do I know? Well, so what is humans' primary sensation? Sight. Humans spend a lot of time looking at stuff. That's why a lot of you who have bad eyeballs wear glasses. That's why I got my eyeballs fixed, so I don't have to wear bifocals. They still need my old man glasses. Okay? But so sensation is the way that stimulus comes in our environment. And okay, so anybody know the stimulus that triggers behavior change the fastest? Not touch. Not sight. Smell. Smell, don't say memory. Memory doesn't exist. How do we know that memory exists? Because it changes your behavior. We're just going to focus on behavior. I'm going to keep doing that to everybody because we've talked about psychology as a whole, talked about the brain. Now we have to focus specifically on behavior, which is one of the perspectives of understanding psychology. So look at this. Question number 3. Okay. So now, smell is the strongest sensation. So I'm going to write smell. What behavior does smell trigger? My wife walked by this morning and she just doused herself with her little perfume. She walked by and my brain goes, it's not memory. Yeah. Smell goes and directly triggers emotion. If you ever want to sell a house, if you need to sell a house, one of the things you should buy is a bread maker. A bread maker works really well because it's a lot easier to push the button and it makes bread. Do not forget to put liquid in, then your house is really good. Not that we've ever done that, ever before. Anyway, but the smell of fresh baked bread. Anywhere around the world you go, they have some sort of bready product that they eat. Pretty much everybody in the world has a tortilla. In England, they're little crackers. In Ethiopia, they're little pancakes. But anywhere, it's still a tortilla in my head. Anyway, but when you smell that, when you walk into the house, you smell garlic and onion sauteing on the stove. Okay, or you smell ginger and garlic. Garlic is really interesting. All around the world, what does garlic make you do? Salivate. Cooked garlic, not raw garlic or secondhand garlic. Hi. Okay? But freshly cooking garlic activates it's got a chemical called butyric acid in it. Now butyric acid activates your stomach. Butyric acid. Smells like bark, actually. Anybody ever smell a rotten onion? Don't. You go to reach for the onion and go. So it's amazing, but so is emotions a behavior or a stimulus? Emotions act as a stimulus. Emotions act as a stimulus. They're very irritating. Because before you can perceive it, you are feeling the emotion. Before yesterday in class, we did a little activity in here. There was a fire, and the fire, my amygdala was all upset by the fire, and the hypothalamus started yelling about the fire, and the hippocampus was already telling the prefrontal cortex to run away from the fire. Because your emotions are a form of stimulus. How do you know if something's good or bad? Well, that's not good. There's a lion. Well, how could I react to that? I think I'll wet myself. That's actually an old funny joke. But anyway, old man sitting on an airplane, kids are next to him. He goes, "Wow, sir, you have a lot of scars." He goes, "Yep, I was a lion hunter." He goes, "Wow, that's an amazing thing." And the guy goes, "Yeah, one time a lion jumped in our tent." And the kid goes, "Wow, what'd you do?" He goes, "I just crapped my pants." And the kid goes, "I would too." He goes, "No, no." The old man goes, I just crapped my pants." Okay. Come on, that's good stuff right there. That's not dad level, is it? Oh, okay, sorry. Trying to improve on my delivery here. Okay, so now. So, any stimulus is a sensation, but a stimulus can also be an emotion, because emotions are directly derived from sensations. So how do we learn these emotions? How do we train you to feel these things? Okay, so I'm going to play you a video clip. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording because I don't. Okay. Oh, I want that one. No, wait. Keyword. We can watch this one. This is not. Oh, it's still recording anyway. Never actually stopped it. Good. Okay, videos. We can watch a statistics video. Okay, sorry. Wait for it. Okay, so now, every night at 6:30, this is Nala, our black lab. Every night at 6:30, Nala would want to go for a walk. Okay? So every night, and this has actually been true since we've ever owned a dog, anybody ever have an active dog in here? Walk the damn thing before you go to sleep at night, because what happens? Or it doesn't want to go to sleep. It runs around the house at 11 o'clock going, woo, yeah. Or she would bounce around off the cushions and find something and throw it up in the air and catch it and play with it. But we discovered after going for a walk every night, she would go to sleep for the rest of the night. Okay, so I was egging her on to beg to go for a walk, and this happened. Okay, so let's play that again. Listen carefully. It's subtle. You heard it. That screaming sound is her barking while breathing in. So, okay, so the lights back on. What is the stimulus that occurred? Doorbell. Is that stimulus something that naturally causes the dog to bark? If I go outside, it's actually when I go mountain biking, all my mountain bikes have bells on them. Just because when you see trail people, when you yell, "Watch out!" people jump. But if you go ding ding ding, or my favorite, ring ring, that one's really cool. The ones that are beach cruisers go ding dong. Anyway, which is a problem that I'll tell you in a minute. But that bell sound, do coyotes bark at my bell? No, coyotes actually stop barking at the bell. This is one of the reasons I haven't mountain biking. A lot of times I'm mountain biking by myself. It's early in the morning. I was out here by the river, Sweetwater River, going out toward Bonita by myself, 5:30 in the morning, enjoying my ride, headlight on, and all of a sudden you hear the yip, 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 yip. And then on the other side of the river, yip, 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 yip. And then, all as my son yelled, "Some poo came out." But it's terrifying when you're the animal that's out there. And all the coyotes are looking at you going, "Hey, we could all take him if we work together." Giant case. Anybody been on campus when they've done that? take a night class and just walk up by the track. And all the bunny rabbits hop around on the track. And so you see those coyotes that just hang out all on the end of the track waiting for a bunny rabbit to look like it's limping. That was limping. Let's go. Anyway, so the coyotes hear the bell and they immediately get quiet. Just ding ding. All of a sudden, which is even worse, I think. When they're making noise, at least you know where they are. Yeah. Okay. So, what is the stimulus that our dog has learned? Wait, if somebody shows up, is that a stimulus that the dog doesn't need to learn? Somebody has a lab in here. It's a really popular dog. Does anybody have a lab? Ish? Fluffy lab. Okay. Lab, is it more lab or more poodle? Okay. Yeah. So, okay, does it bark at everything? Yeah. Labs are very vocal dogs. They let everybody know how they're feeling at all times. Poodles are not necessarily fluffy dogs. They're fluffy, but they're not necessarily barky dogs. The poodles will wait. And wah! Our little dog did that last night. She got in the trash yesterday. She's got a little upset stomach. So my daughter was messing with her last night. I got video of the dog biting Miles, our neighbor kid. Great. Anyway, but labs, do they ever bite? No. They sound like they're a 300-pound Rottweiler. Rottweilers will bite. But they won't bite. They just bark. They're bred that way. Behavioral genetics. Why don't you want a lab that bites things? They don't care. People don't breed dogs for children. Anybody know what the job of a lab is? Get the duck. Get the duck. That's what labs are bred for. If somebody in a boat shoots a duck and now the water's cold, I'm not getting in, the dog won't get it. And they swim and get it and bring it back. That was awesome. Yeah. Shoot another duck, it's really cold, but okay. And they go get the duck and they're like the happiest they could ever be by going and get the duck. Did you ever play tennis ball for hours? Yeah. You throw a tennis ball against the wall, the dog runs and grabs it, brings it back. Do it again. That's what they're bred for. And as a result, the dogs that don't chase the tennis balls, they don't breed them. Or they make coats out of them, like Cruella de Vil. And the other ones that are. So they genetically inbred these behaviors. But, okay, so the doorbell is learned. I'm going to write the word condition next to it. It's conditioned. The doorbell is learned or conditioned. What is the natural stimulus? What causes the dog to bark naturally? Yeah. Natural stimulus is the person at the door. Okay, so how do we know a dog has learned or has been conditioned? You ring a bell and the dog goes running through. Does the dog even know that it's trying to bark? Watch your reaction. So the dog just goes, ah! And then starts barking. It's like the bark surprises her. The kids used to do this because they thought it was funny. As the dog, for the standard lab, they're also very food sluts. They'll do anything for food. And so, yeah, it's just like, food? Okay. What do you want? Food? Okay. Okay. And so if you put a bowl of food out for her, what does she do immediately? Drains it. And doesn't look up at all. Doesn't even breathe. Just and just swallows the whole thing and is like afterwards. Like she's been starved. When she had been when she was a puppy, but that's a different story. So now, we found her in a junkyard. We went to buy some old wood for building some stupid crafty thing my wife wanted to do. And there's a bunch of puppies running around this, like, Encanto neighborhood. It's like a canyon with a bunch of old wooden junk piled in it. Like, he goes, can we have one of our puppies? He goes, $60. Michael goes, okay. We got about the $60 puppy. And the thing was all full of worms and nasty and mangy, and brought it in, $600 in the vet bills later. We got a really defective little dog. But we feel good about it. Okay, so getting back, so the idea is that the stimulus of her stomping on her food, my children said, okay, and ring the doorbell as she's inhaling her food. Oh, it's funny if you're a kid. It's actually funny if you're an adult, too. Have you ever seen the movie Horton Hears a Who? With Vlad? I will eat him and crush him! And then regurgitate him and eat him at a regurgitate. Where he jumps from the bus. You need to watch that again. It's a great movie. I have it actually on the screen. Anyway, so okay, it's just so funny. Jim Carrey's just brilliant. Okay, I'm back. So now, but she would do that. She would just inhale her dog food as she's trying to bark, and just like, and then have this look on her face that was just like Vlad. Okay, your buddy brings cookies. Okay, good. Okay, so if you have not seen that movie, I'm making no sense whatsoever, but you've seen the movie, it makes perfect sense. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now, the best part about this is this is completely unconscious, because what has the doorbell become to the dog? An emotion. That doorbell has become an emotion. Emotion are stimuli. But they're not, emotions are not stimuli that are automatically there. How do we learn these emotions? How do we get these emotions? Through what's called classical conditioning. Yeah. Called classical conditioning. So stimuli, the meaning or the way that we understand stimuli in the environment comes through classical conditioning. For those people that are critter-phobic in here, okay, that is through classical conditioning. The stimulus themselves are relatively benign. There's only a few critters that can actually hurt you. But what do you learn? Everything's deadly. Your emotions take care of all you worry about. All we have to do is just wait for that amygdala to go, hey, and immediately those stimulus become conditioned. That's what classical conditioning's for. My son dumped out my bag on Sunday. I was looking for a media stick that was in here, and I had data files for my stats course on it. I go, can you please, can you find that in my bag and bring it to me? So he goes, sure, because he would rather be playing the Xbox. So he took my bag, upside down, shook it all on the floor, and everything fell out of my bag. Then he shook it some more to make sure everything was out. He looked inside the bag, nothing was in there, and then he rummaged through the pile, handed me the media stick, and walked away. I looked at him going, well played, sir, well played. Okay, challenge accepted. But so now, if I need to find something like my little dongle that plugs into the screen, or who knows what else is, everything is one giant jumbled mess. Ooh, I just saw it. Yay! I haven't found those for weeks. Okay, my Santa Claus glasses. I can get rid of the really boring old man glasses. Okay. Okay, so how did I find those in my bag? I've been looking actually for days for those, and I just saw them. Well, how do I recognize these out of all the other crap in there? Consciousness knows. But what happens is these are a stimulus. All the other stuff in there is stimulus, but as soon as I prime my hippocampus to pay attention for this particular, so what part of the stimulus is this should I look for? So the gold on the frame, or whatever color that is, pink, turtle color on the frame. okay, or the thinness of the arm. There's a million different little stimuli out there, but as soon as you prime, as soon as you condition yourself, you can pick something out very quickly. I'm teaching my son how to look for fish. We went fishing this weekend, and our fish, if you go to the ocean, our fish everywhere. Yes. Just walking through the mud slabs, we've got some shrimp, shrimp. Okay, and there's a halibut about this big sitting right next to my son's foot. I'm in the mud, no one can see it. It's very well camouflaged, I must admit. And I go, Caleb, look by your foot. He looks down, he goes, what? I go, move your foot. And all of a sudden the fish comes away. He goes, how do you see that? Well, how do you see things like that? You learn, well, your unconscious brain is looking at all the stimuli in the world. Some stimuli trigger an emotion. This emotion can be either positive, as I'm pointing at the screen as if you could see it, can either be positive or they can be negative. So stimuli that are, what kind of stimuli is a negative one in the beach if you don't want to step on? Stingray. It's really important to look around for stingray. Okay, shovel-nosed shark? No problem. They don't bite. Okay? And so when you find these things, your brain is constantly looking out for stimuli, but you have to learn them. Classical conditioning is learned through, how do you learn to recognize things? Who was my cerebellum in here? Oh, he just left. Okay. Good timing. Okay. Okay. The cerebellum is the one that's actually doing this. The cerebellum is doing this. The cerebellum is paying attention to all the stimuli coming in and all the behavior going out. Stimuli going in, behavior going out. Stimuli going in, behavior going out. Stimulus comes in, cerebellum goes to behavior. You see a critter, the cerebellum goes, run away. You're already running before your consciousness even sees the cerebellum. Okay? It's perfect. And this is where classical conditioning occurs. When Pavlov, the guy that came up with the diagrams for this, he basically didn't know that cerebellum did, but he described it perfectly. And if you take behaviorism next year, in the spring, this time, we teach a whole class, a whole semester in behaviorism. Totally cool. But if you take the behaviorism class, you learn about all the details and all the characteristics that make good conditioning. Is this important if you want to be, say, an advertiser? Yes, a lot of good advertising has a lot to do with classical conditioning. Political stuff is classical conditioning. What have you heard about in the news a lot this last week? Aside from people blowing up oil wells. Danger, Will Robinson. Okay, moving on. Vaping. Yeah. So that's a really big problem if they blow up where we get most of our gas. Yeah. I love the conspiracy theories though. Texas did it. Okay, moving on. Or Elon Musk, that was the other one I heard. He actually sent one of his rockets and landed on it to blow it up so he could get more people to buy his Teslas. Okay, sorry. We could spin all sorts of great conspiracy theories. Humans love those. Dogs don't fall through at all. Okay, anyway. But how many people have been getting sick from vapes? A lot. How come we weren't hearing about it? It's because the amount of people that they promote them with is greater than the amount of people that are getting sick. So people pay attention to the promotion. But when the vapey stuff came out, the Surgeon General was basically saying, no. But there was no regulation. They can't say no. And so now what's going to happen is that the company that The company that owns it is owned by the people who made Marlboro cigarettes. Yeah, the same people that did the climate change denial, the same people that did the anti-smoking campaign denial back in the 60s. The same groups. And so they're going to be, you're going to see a lot of advertisements pro-vaping. But what's interesting about the speed of media now all of a sudden people are getting sick, and anybody who studies physiology, you can know why people are getting sick. Because when people vape, what do they do with the vapor? You suck it really down deep into your lungs. And you can smoke a lot and you don't burn your throat, so you can just keep vaping it. And that's the problem is that like the amount of nicotine just goes up and up and up and up, and you get all this great effect of all the nicotine, but the other chemicals in your lungs are starting to cause problems, especially when people are trying to jump on the bandwagon and make cheaper and cheaper vape products, using less and less quality products, which, that's know your drug dealer, the moral of the story. Okay. Well, you got to know your drug dealer. If you trust your drug dealer, you can buy the drug for this part. So, what? See, this comes in handy, though. Whenever somebody's doing something, you just walk up and go, boo, creepy foot doctor. And now it's funny. Okay, so, why? What? Again, you're trying to analyze this consciously. This is not a conscious advertisement. This is all unconscious. We just call this subliminal advertising. Are they trying to make you become a foot fetishist to like their beer? No, please no. Okay? You don't like feet. Anyway, so this is all of a sudden, they make you feel uncomfortable for a minute, and then the guy goes, well, you're thinking this is creepy, and he says, boo, creepy foot doctor. And it's some bizarrely funny. This is another really good one. It'll figure it out. That ad made you stare at the product label for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. You sat there for 30 seconds staring at the product label. What were you doing? Waiting for something to happen. Boo! Waiting. Hooray! Beer. Why did the first ad had his standard traditional gentleman suit from Jamaica on? What is his suit now? With a, what color is the bottle? The short, stubby, ugly bottle. What color is it? Brown. He has changed himself into the product label so that what is the stimulus that they're getting you to pay attention to? The label. This is the stimulus that's reinforcing. Now, okay, what is the purpose of beer? Most people, I mean, beer is, yeah, it's you're supposed to drink beer. People who drink beer drink beer. I used to drink beer. I love beer, but I can't drink very much beer anymore. And like resign myself to very fluffy beer. Yeah. Anyway, but so because if you go to the domestic beer aisle, it's pretty much Budweiser. Anyway, if you go to the beer aisle and you're walking along, after seeing this ad, what will you notice? You will see the 6-pack of Red Stripe beer. Not necessarily because you remember the commercial, not necessarily because you remembered watching it, but just by having been exposed to it and producing an emotion at the same time as being exposed to the label. Notice, boo, creepy foot doctor. The second he says that, what is also present? The label. And as soon as he says, boo, creepy foot doctor, you laugh as the label is being presented. And as a result, that becomes a good advertisement. It becomes a contingency in your head. I'll write that word up here in a second. Okay, so I want to play one more before I start the recording again. It knows what I'm talking about. Oh, sorry. This was on the Super Bowl like years ago. By the way, that is the best meme of this entire ad. Why is that the best meme? Because when someone asks, can I borrow your pen? So if someone asks you that, you go, like that. Okay. Watch. Okay, so now, so why is this funny? It's out of the, you wouldn't expect it to happen. And it was on the Super Bowl. And it was one of those things you're watching it and then everybody's like, oh my, because you know exactly what they're saying. Yeah, but you know exactly what they're saying because they cut out just enough of the words that it still produces the stimulus of the cuss word. That's like, there's some of the hip-hop music on right now that we actually had to go back and listen to the real version to figure out what the hell they're saying. But once you heard the real version, then you listen to the live for TV version, you know, the radio version, can you hear all the bad words? Listen to the unedited versions of some songs, and then go back and listen to one on the radio, and you don't notice how much has been cut out. But if you've never heard the unedited versions of the songs, sometimes you can't exactly figure out exactly what they're saying. But then once you hear it once, your cerebellum fills in the emotion or fills in the details. Unconsciously. This is another really good one, and this is a really well done. Bud Light? No, let's not do that. Bud Light, this one. I don't want beer. I figured that would automatically come up, but this is another Super Bowl one. Product placement. So again, they had a whole series of Bud Light commercials. There's nothing about watery dizzy beer in this commercial. What's it all about? So the Bears, what's it about? Not beer, Bud Light. The name Bud Light is the stimulus. Okay, there's a million Bud Light ads that are extremely well done. Anybody know the Miller commercials that they did? They actually told them to quit it. 2 girls wrestling, great taste, less filling. Well, but it's not about the beer itself. The GoDaddy commercial, the wardrobe malfunction after the Super Bowl, so what the next Super Bowl they did, they had a young lady with very large breasts falling out of her tank top every 2 seconds on the commercial. Come on, you guys got to pay more attention to TV. Okay. So TV's not important in your life anymore. It's kind of sad. Okay, so the point of these advertisements is just to produce stimuli, just to make stimuli. That's it, to make you aware of stimuli. As you're going to the grocery store, what do you notice? What do you see? It's actually going, was it? Anyway. Okay, but things that, they play things that cause associations to form. The associations make you go and buy things. My daughter's she's got a cold right now. She wanted Campbell's chicken noodle soup, the condensed, not chicken noodle, but chicken and rice soup, the condensed kind, the nasty ass processed, 97% sodium in a jar kind of ramen style food. Even my son, who is a junk food connoisseur, goes, ooh, he's going to eat that? Because his preferred soup is Progresso, which is still processed and nasty, but at least it's got chunks of things you can recognize in it. But why does she want that when she's sick? What? Somehow, I don't know if you can't say it's consciously, because you can't say, oh, soup makes me feel better, but all of a sudden your brain goes, oh, soup sounds so good. So it's the association is not conscious, it's unconscious. It's unconscious. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So, like, for me, I love oatmeal, but I don't eat a lot of oatmeal because it's too carby. I used to eat oatmeal every morning for breakfast, and it's so tasty and awesome. But I don't eat it now because it's too carby. But when I do get a little chunk of oatmeal, why does it taste so good? Because I've had lots of good associations with eating oatmeal. I love it. Okay, sorry. I'm going to try oat milk. It's not nearly as carby. Well, do you know how to make it? It's really ridiculous. You put water on oats. Wait. Put in a French press. Next morning, press the press down and pour the oat milk off. Weirdness, yeah. It's cashew milk. It tastes like cashew. It's like almond milk. What's that? Oat milk's supposed to be pretty good though, but that is almost 40 grams of carbs in it, and so for me that's a little bit too extra carby. I like the matcha green tea milk that they have at matcha green tea almond milk or something. It makes, when you mix it with oatmeal, it's like camel green. I have some in my lunchbox. Okay, so now. So, who cares about this stuff? Why do we care about these associations, care about this timing? Who cares about Pavlov and classical conditioning? You should. There is a word called a trigger. What does it mean when you are triggered? Some triggers are positive triggers, some triggers are negative triggers. These are things in your environment that somebody says something. So we did an experiment. This is awful, but it's great. We did an experiment a couple years ago. My statistics students came up with a list of the 27 most offensive words that we can use in English. And we had to remove a few of them because they were too offensive. And then what we did is we gave this list of offensive words to students, and had students rate their level of being offended by those particular words. And what we were doing is a statistical analysis to find out, are there any words in the English language that most people become really upset by? Yes, there are. It was very fun. So then we made a spreadsheet, and then you put 3 words in a row from this list, and it became the insult generator. It was very exciting. Anyway, my staff students will be doing that in a couple weeks. But you might see the offensive words coming out. I apologize in advance. Moving on. So why are some words offensive and other words aren't? It's not triggering a memory. It activates a behavior. That's what I want you to get. It's not triggering a memory. When that doorbell rings, it doesn't cause my dog to go, oh, well, someone must be at the door. What does it cause? She's running toward the door before she even realizes what's going on. So that's exactly what some words do. When somebody says a particular word to you, immediately that becomes a trigger. When I say trigger, which means it causes a physical response. So if someone has post-traumatic stress disorder, like we talked about with the 50-10, what becomes the trigger? It's not the memory. The feeling, the body's response, your behavior changes in response to the stimulus. Before the prefrontal cortex can even understand that there's a stimulus, the cerebellum is already sending signals to the body to react. We can do this if I bring a squirt gun into class. Oh, I totally forgot. I have them in my office. I have a big bag of balloons in my office. We can do this. Do not buy balloons for 99 cents a month. Not even water balloons. No. Every third one explodes in your face and you're trying to blow it up. Cheap balloons, uneven plastic distribution. Bang! Bang! And you're like, by the end, you're like kind of, hey, I can't do it. Why can't you blow it up? Because enough of them have popped in your face in the past. And you can try that if you want to. See who can blow a balloon up until it explodes. We actually, when I teach students sexuality, we do that with a condom. It's kind of funny. Do not use lubricated one soap. Okay, but they get about this big. But what's funny is when they get about that big, and you're trying to blow it up, you can't. Because what's going to happen? It's going to pop. And you're like, I can't. What's stopping you from blowing on it? The trigger. That stimulus of it exploding in your face is telling your cerebellum, stop! But that's what's really cool about this is that you have a bunch of stimuli in your environment that you label as reinforcers. What effect do they have on behavioral probability? Change it with when. So if I have a probability of 0.5, but I add a reinforcement to it, what happens? It goes to 0.6, 0.7. It increases the behavioral probability. Drugs that really stimulate the nucleus accumbens are drugs that stimulate reinforcement. The nucleus accumbens is reinforcement. The amygdala is punishment. So if you get punished, what does that do to behavioral probability? Lowers it. Okay. So is that clock a contingency? I'm going to write this word up here. This is the last thing I have to write up. Is that clock a contingency? Maybe not that clock, but your clock on your phone. An alarm clock. What does the word contingency mean? It means if then. As closer and closer as it gets to 9:15, what happens to your antecedentness? It increases because the probability of leaving increases closer to the 9:15 mark. Okay. So Runaway, what are we doing next class?